Y'all want to talk about something today, man. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but it's been too long, and I haven't seen anyone on the internet make a video like this about this Karmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf situation. So before we even get into this, understand this: this is not a video about who's right and who's wrong. I'm not pushing this as self-defense. This wasn't self-defense. Austin was right. Austin was wrong. We're not worried about the actual people involved just yet, right? I want to point something out that I haven't seen anybody talk about, and that's the parenting, communication, de escalation, and knowing how and when to properly escalate. Because sometimes it is a time to escalate. We'll get into that too. But let's start with communication. Me, for example, when I was a kid, I've been in quite a few fights. Um, but out of all the fights I've been in, maybe like with at school, maybe like 15, 18 fights, something like that. Only three of those fights I actually got suspended. That means all the other fights I've ever had at school, they left me at school and they suspended the other person. I wasn't losing. There was a process. When I was a kid and I get in a fight, I used to get a whooping based off if I followed the process or not. My pops would ask me everything that led up to the fight and how the fight went. So I get a whooping for two things. One, did I reach out to any adult? Did I attempt to actually walk away? Did I walk away? Did I attempt to reach out to the teacher, principal, somebody else, mama, daddy? Something. Did I attempt to walk away, right? That's the first thing. And if I ain't do that, I already got a whooping. Then after that whooping over with, now let's talk about it again. Second thing we want to know, did I win? Yeah, I used to get the whoopings if I ain't win the fight too. So, but back to process, communication. That situation could have unfolded differently. I didn't follow it extremely close every day watching this trial because I got a life, right? But I never heard nobody say that Karmelo got up and went to try to tell somebody. I did hear somebody say that these guys had bullied him before. Well, hypothetically, if they had bullied him before, did he ever tell an adult? I don't hear any adults saying that, yes, I was aware that they used to bully him or were bullying him or anything of that sort. So if that was going on, why are we not communicating? Communication, that's the one thing right there, right? That's the first thing. Then we talk about de-escalation. This is a public scenario for the world to see, right? Every year we got something that the whole world see. Right now, this could be a situation we use to learn from and learn how to de-escalate the situation. I'm sitting down, it's raining, I necessarily ain't supposed to be over here, but they asked me to leave. This might be his seat. Maybe I don't want to leave. How could we de-escalate? Could the situation be de-escalated? I didn't get a chance to see the video. I don't hear no audio or nothing like that to be able to see what's going on right in that moment. But the reason I point out de-escalation is because when I speak on our culture, I'm talking about mostly black people. And I can't speak about all, but I'm going to say black people on average. We are terrible at de-escalating situations. But we're great at escalating them, which leads me to my third point: how to properly escalate. Again, if you're going to properly escalate and really take it there and show them you like that, there's still a right and wrong way to do that. Well, again, back to my scenario when I was younger, I didn't understand back then why my pops would always say, you got to tell somebody first and then go. Going forward as a grown man, I understand this now. If we back up and we take it to hip hop just for a split second, back when Snoop Dogg had his issue with Suge Knight, what'd he do? He placed a restraining order, right? And everybody was like, he ain't supposed to do that. He's supposed to be street, da-da-da. Snoop apparently got taught the same way I got taught. He grown now, so it ain't no principal to go tell. So Snoop went to go tell the police first. What we gonna do, we gonna put this restraining order on. I'm gonna tell him, look, I fear for my life now. That way when it go down, it's already on the books. I said I was scared, right? That's how that go. That's why my pops used to tell me that. I understand that now. Now, back to the situation at hand. Not pointing what's right, what's wrong. Looking at parenting. Why did your kid not tell you what was going on? Did they tell you what was going on? And how did you handle that? Did you know he was bringing a knife? Did you tell him to bring the knife? Were you even aware that he was being bullied? Was this 100% random? On the other end, on the Metcalf family, why is it okay? Why in your son's minds, they're okay with jumping? I've never jumped anyone a day in my life. I've never been jumped. Why is it okay in their mind? I'm going to assume that there is some racist rhetoric in the Metcalf family and that the sons have heard this and they've picked it up from their family. And the reason I say that is because of the video that the dad put out. He put out a video spewing a bunch of racist remarks, right? And a lot of people say, oh, he was just mad. But watch this. Check this out. And I mean no shade to the gay community, gay agency, the alphabet people. Shout out to y'all. Y'all hella funny, y'all, whatever, right? But I am going to use y'all as an example. If a man's straight, he don't talk gay. He don't talk gay, do he? Most straight men gonna just talk straight. That just is what it is. So a non-racist person, you can't make them talk racist. If you ain't racist, you ain't gonna say nothing racist. So all that came out when you mad, that's just like when you get to drinking, the truth start coming out. So if that's what you truly felt, or that's what he truly felt, right? 9 times out of 10, that's what's being pushed in his household. So when you go out into the real world, your seed is going to do what they father did. They going to do what they father say. Right? So let's stop thinking so much about what Karmelo Anthony did, what he couldn't have done, and all this and that. Think about our parenting and our communication. That's what's not discussed in our community, right? And when I say our community, I'm talking about black people, right? Because black people, not all, but on the average, the most of us have a problem with communication, de-escalating, and then how to properly escalate if you are going to escalate. Why we don't talk about this? Huh? Why it takes something like this to talk about? How come when this happened, I'm the first one to speak on this part? I ain't heard nobody else speak on the parenting. Everybody want to talk about the actions that the kids took. At the end of the day, these were kids, right? You can't just go buy a gun, right? If you aren't at least 18, some states, right? We're not talking about some. Across the board, typically, you got to be grown to buy a gun, right? Why you think they do that? Because they can't trust a child's mind with a weapon like that. They aren't fully developed. We got to help them. So he didn't get a gun. He got a knife. But he has to be smart enough to know, what's the knife going to do? Somebody mess with me, I'm going to do this, right? My bad. Now we get into the right or wrong thing, right? But I will say this. Understanding how to properly escalate again. I've hit people with weapons before. I've never stabbed anybody because I know, man, if I pick this up, do this to him, that's going to happen. But if I pick this up and hit him, then this going to happen. Thinking, right? They were both in high school. They were both smart. I'm smart enough to know what happened if I hit him with the poker now. And if this was 100% random tool just picked up off the ground, I'd feel differently. But I don't want to put too much blame on the kid that came to school with the weapon because I want to focus on why in his mind was that okay to do. I've never thought, let me stab this student. Now, granted, I have hit somebody with something before. But I didn't come to school with what I hit them with. I picked it up then. Again, I'm not trying to put too much blame right or wrong. I want to have more of a conversation about communication in our community. And I know when I post this, I know it's a long video. Whoever watches to the end, thank you. Right? I know y'all gonna get in these comments and argue anyway over who right or wrong. But if we could focus more on the conversation of communication, de-escalation, and then how to properly escalate if necessary. I hate that we gotta even be here as a people. But again, if somebody gotta address the things that haven't been addressed, I don't mind being that person.